I'm excited.
Oh, same here, man. Same here. I look at life, man, is just like we were just talking, just normal talk. Like, I look at it as like normal rhythm.
Absolutely.
We just talking about life. I'm hearing things about you and your family dynamics. You're hearing things about my family and our dynamics. And for me, I like to be a sponge. Just absorb, absorb, absorb. And when it's time to wring it out, I wring out the things that I can apply to my life. And that's the whole concept of teach one, send one is like learn, teach, send, repeat. That's kind of the concept.
Yeah.
I learn something, I teach it, encourage others to send that out or send them out in the sense, not physically sending them, but the concept of is, hey, look, when you out doing your do, just share it. Just share it. And that cycle just continues to repeat itself.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, a lot of, I guess in men nowadays, it's kind of hard they feel it's difficult to share their emotions. They don't want to seem like like a punk, I guess,
Feeling soft.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's just from years of just getting beat up, and saying, oh yeah, you got to be a certain way. And I agree to that in a point. That's why where Macho Ranch comes in is where it's Macho Ranch 2.0.
Yeah.
So we need men to be men, but a 2.0 version of the macho.
Got it.
Because back then it was macho, man, a whole different name.
Right.
So
right.
now
Right.
it's like, yes, you can be a macho, but you don't have to be a toxic one, I guess, so to speak. So you can show love, you can show mercy, you can show kindness, and you're still, the man.
You're still a man, exactly.
You're still a man. There's nothing wrong with that. Now if you show too much of it, then we got to reevaluate.
So true, man.
But yeah, I mean that just with that, it's just built on that, and it's just been a pretty cool adventure, where this has taken off. I mean, I met you, we're kicking this off, and man, it's been so far it's been a pleasure meeting you.
Definitely, same here, my man. Same here.
I love it. We're like-minded people. We have a goal, and one, preach the word. Two, encourage men, to be better in all aspects of life, and marriage, kids, finances, faith, or we'll put faith first, and then we'll go down the line from there. But it includes everything, we just have to and try our best,
Of course. And that's the thing is, for our audience, we've already started this conversation, but for our audience, we want to welcome everyone to the first episode podcast with Macho Ranch and TOSO Teach One, Send One. My name is Marlo Jones. I'm the founder of Teach One, Send One. And, I am a husband, I'm a father, I'm a veteran, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a lot of different things. But outside of that, what drives me more is being able to encourage the individual, men and families to share the knowledge of what they have learned in their life, whether it's been directly or indirectly, just living life, or maybe through school, through the marketplace, wherever it may be, to be able to teach that to others that come along their path, which I like to call normal rhythms. And the why is because we possess so much information, and we hoard that information to ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't always freely share the information with others, not thinking that could be a teaching moment, different from a classroom setting where it's very structured. But just in your normal conversations, you can inspire motivate or enlighten someone right there sitting while you're waiting to get your oil change.
Mm-hmm.
A neighbor come walk up to you while you are cutting the grass. You stop for a moment and you talking about something.
Yeah.
They may share something with you that you can grasp. At the same time, you can share something with them that they can grasp.
Mm-hmm.
And it just be those moments where it just comes through very organic, in an organic way that I like to put it. And because I think it's just the right thing to do. Just think about it. Just think about the things that you and I possess. I've been married 33 years, 4 children, 6 grandchildren, U.S. Army veteran.
Wow.
Spent 21 years in the optical retail business, worked with multiple nonprofits. I have a wealth of information just through experience and time alone. Why would I hold that information back?
Yeah.
Somebody gave it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have to go to school to get all of this information. Mm-hmm. It's just me spending time in those different spaces, learning different things. So now I feel it a duty to be able to help share with someone else. Why? Because it could be a way to change their narrative.
Mm-hmm.
They could become that better father, that better husband. They could be that entrepreneur. There's many facets to it. They could become the man that God wants them to be. So all of that encapsulates who I am as an individual and how I embody teach one, send one. And I met my brother in Macho Ranch. We're in the same vein, the same lane
mm-hmm.
of want to encourage men to be a better man. And we don't know who we are until we know whose we are.
Mm-hmm.
And when we know we are part of Christ, that's where our identity starts.
Yeah.
And we build from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
love it. You know, one thing I did want to point out, I didn't want it to be or become a we're perfect, follow us kind of deal. You know,
exactly.
we're far from that, guys. So, you know, it's just showing y'all the inside of our lives, our mistakes, our failures, but our goals and goals that we have already reached. You know,
true,
and
true.
Our experiences. You know, everyone has a testimony. Like they always say, everyone has a testimony. Not everybody has a platform. You know,
correct. So true.
You know, I want to thank you first for thank you for your services. Thank you for our freedom. Sir. You know, that's one of the things.
Appreciate it.
Of course, that's for a different topic where everyone thinks, you know, America's not free, yada yada yada. You know, we can go on and on. You know,
of course we can. You definitely can.
But yeah, well, as far as Macho Ranch, you know, it's still a baby company. We're still in the makings, in the beginning stages of it. I just felt like I needed to contribute something to this world.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been an artist at heart. I've done back when UFC just started. I was looking at some old hand drawings I had done, and I was like, oh man, I did this. This was back, man, you know, maybe early 2000s probably. And I was already drawing things on shirts, you know. Okay. I couldn't do anything on computer at the moment.
Right.
Now you can do everything, you know.
Definitely.
So I was just remembering, I was like, man, God took it a full circle, and I put that away, and now He brought it back. But at that point, I wasn't ready. You know, I wasn't ready up here to lead anybody, or just much less mine was just, I'm just going to sell millions of shirts, be a millionaire, and yada, 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 you know. But now there's a different path. Now there's a different mission. And so with Macho Ranch came up, I was talking to my wife. I'm like, hey, what do you think? You know, I want to start a clothing line, but I don't want to be just generic, you know, like just no brand, you know, just just generic shirts and trying to sell them, which is nothing wrong with that. Some people make a very good living off of that. I just didn't want it. I wanted to build a brand. I wanted to build a legacy. and I told her, I said, what do you think about Macho Ranch? How does that sound to you? I you know, came up with a whole bunch of names, and I think that one just stuck, you know. And she was like, yeah, it sounds okay. So we left it at that. A couple of days later, a cousin of mine, he invited me to a men's conference, and I went, and because his pastor was going to be one of the speakers up there, and there was 5 guys on the stage, and the whole night, the main word that kept popping up was macho. And,
Wow.
and I said, all right, Lord, I'm gonna take that as a confirmation, you know.
All right.
You know.
True.
And everything was about being a man, of course, and just how do you walk in a man's footsteps? You know, how do you lead? How do you lead your family if you've never done it before?
Correct.
You know, and that goes back to where you're saying is you got to get around people that have done it. You know, saying that have that knowledge, that are willing to share it with you. You know,
True.
Because without knowledge, we fail. You know,
for sure.
And so on my website, you know, of course, it starts out with 1 Corinthians 16, 13 to 14. It says, "Be watchful, stand firm in faith, and act like men. Be strong, and let all you do be in love." You know, by embracing the macho ranch lifestyle, men have the opportunity to become leaders in all aspects of their lives, combining faith, courage, compassion to create a new definition of masculinity. That's, you know, it's centered around strength, character, and empathy. It's an invitation to rise to the occasion and take control of their lives, to become a better version of themselves and positively impact those around them. You know, when we need men to take back their position of head of the household and to be the macho man that you were created to be. And once again, it's not, I guess it's been instilled in us for a while, being macho, especially in the Hispanic community. You know, macho man is like, you know, like, hey, you have a certain appearance, but we're trying to change that appearance, that definition, to where it's not just about, hey, go make me a sandwich, you know, make, you know, why isn't this clean? No, it's like, hey, what can I help you with today, babe? You know, honey, or whatever you call your wife, you know. You know, you see she's tired from work. Hey, I'm gonna do the dishes tonight. You know, that doesn't take anything away from you from being a man. You know,
so true. So true.
Hey, I'm gonna cook today and do the dishes. You know,
right. Practical things.
Practical things. You know, but that's just part of marriage, and that's just part of being a father. I mean, a husband, two, a father. If you have kids,
yes,
they see that. You know,
exactly. Yeah.
My boys see the way I treat my wife.
Correct.
And that my oldest is using that, and I see it, and that just, you know, fills my heart up because I see him the way he treats his girlfriend. You know, good. And he opens the doors for her. He does things for her, of course, and hey, love it. You know,
that's good. That's good. You know, the word tells us that we shall see the fruit of our labor.
Yeah.
So when you're speaking of in terms of being an example to your boys, now you see the correlation or the response of that teaching in the time you spent with him, watching you serve your wife. Now he's duplicating that. It's an example. This is what 2 Timothy 2:2 says. This is the Apostle Paul speaking. The things you have heard me say, entrust to reliable people who will also be qualified to teach others. So when we think about that, when we think about Macho Ranch 2.0, we're looking at it from the perspective of, okay, let me teach others who are willing, who are open. Let me entrust those things into them that they themselves will in turn entrust to others. We have to be the example. They have to see something.
Yeah.
So either you're going to show something that is godly, something that has good morals for them to follow. Because if they see the opposite, they see you beating your wife, cussing her out, you know, raising hell, whatever the case may be, guess what? It's a natural response. Yeah. Because that's what they have seen. They think, okay, that must be okay. I probably can do that. I see my dad do it, and I see how my mom did it. I look at my own children. I have 4 children. 3 of them are married. My wife and I were praying for our children while they were in her womb. I'm talking about we're praying for their destiny. We're praying for their husbands, their wives, and we didn't know whether we was having boys or girls. We say, okay, Lord, we dedicating these children unto you. We're praying that they be good students.
Yeah.
That they be very integrous. That they be loyal to you. That they will be good friends. And like anyone, we all face challenges. And I have a bunch of stories of different situations that my children experience. But when I look back at how they grew up through elementary school, middle school, high school, some went to college, one went to the military. I look back and I say, I thank God that my wife, that we labored in prayer and that we did our best when we were raising them to give them a good roadmap.
Yeah.
Give them something that they can shoot for. That say, okay, I see my dad do this. My mom do this. Let me give you this one story. We were living in Colorado at the time, and we were visiting my wife's sister that lives in Frisco, Texas. Everybody came to went to Frisco, Texas. Some family from Louisiana. We lived in Colorado, and some that was already in Texas. But my oldest son, he was still in the military in Germany. And I told him, I said, hey, look, son, we going by your aunt's house at this time on Thanksgiving. I want you to call us. So he ended up calling us. And they always know Uncle Marlo is going to always get the family together. So I get all the nieces and nephews, and I'm asking, how things are going with you? This is family time. What struggles are you having? How things are going? How can we pray for you? And while I was doing that, my son called. And I said, Dwayne, we're going through this that we normally do at our house, but we're doing here at your aunt's house. Just tell them a little bit about what your experience was. And he said, guys, I'm not going to lie. He says, Mom and Dad always told me things before they happened. And when they happened, I recall that conversation I had with them years ago. So he says, whatever they're saying, you better take heed. Now, right now, my son is 36. He was 25 at that time.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that we as fathers take the lead in raising our home and our children, because we are the priests of the home. And what we allow, that means we stand for. What we don't allow, that means we don't stand for.
Yeah.
So if we see something happening and we don't address it, we're letting our children know it's okay to do that. But at the end of the day, we're going to be held accountable. So we have to ensure that we're raising our children in the manner that God wants us to raise them. And sometimes we have to say no when they're pressing for you to say yes. Why? Because as parents, we may have experienced something that they have now no clue of, but we're looking out for their best interests.
Yeah.
And so, for me, granted, I don't have any young children in the home right now. My youngest that still lives with us will be 24 in December, and my youngest daughter, who will be 26 next month. But never stop parenting.
Oh no,
it's just from a different perspective.
Yeah, that doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop, and so I am so glad that all of my adult children still wants my wife and I in their lives. Now, when they were teenagers, they didn't have nothing to do with us.
Yeah.
They didn't want to go with us to the grocery store. They didn't want to hang out with us.
They want the food, though.
They wanted the food. They wanted our money. They wanted to borrow the car. They want us to buy this. But now that they're older, they can go back and think about all the things that we were talking about when they get older. Now they're closer to us now than they were during that span time. But once again, I only thank God, because you think about some of us that may be listening. Do we have anything to do with our parents once we became older of age? We became 18, 19, 21 years old. Did that relationship just sever? You went one way, your parents went the other way, and you all just live separate lives? Not to say that we cannot be independent, because all my children are independent of us in a sense, but they want us in their life. It's the difference of them needing us in their lives versus them wanting.
Absolutely.
Which means they're making a decision to say, hey, mom and pop, what do you think about this?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that? So I just look at the early stages of our raising our children, have to lay that foundation early. And we just began to build upon that over the course of all those years.
Yeah.
And for us, it's normal to sit down and have a family conversation. It's normal for them to say, okay, all right, we know what dad's gonna talk about. But they say he cares enough about us to ask. But yeah, man.
That's awesome, man.
I'm just elated about fatherhood in itself.
Yeah.
It's work, it's demanding, but it's well worth it.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I mean, you don't get that a lot nowadays, especially a lot of kids. They just, once they turn 18, I'm ready to go, man. And I would love to have that. Not to say I don't have that with my kids. Yes, my oldest still stays with us. It's 22, going to be 23 this year, and I have no problem with it.
That's good.
We have he has his days, and he has his girlfriend now, so it's kind of like, but he still calls me, hey, what do you think about this? I need to change. Something's happened with the car or whatever, and I'm willing to help 110%,
That's good.
And just little things like that, just being there when he calls instead of like, oh, I can't do it or I'm busy right now or anything like that. When your child calls, that you have to put everything else on pause, in my opinion. Because especially if they don't do it often.
True.
It's like, hey, okay, they need to call, they need to talk, they need to do something. Let me set aside this time for them. My 16-year-old, of course, he's still here, and the same thing. He doesn't want to do the same thing. He doesn't want to go out with us or whatnot. We're not cool enough for him.
Right.
We want to be seen with mom and dad, but yeah, he sure has a list of groceries for us.
Definitely.
That he wants,
Definitely. That's just what it is, man. And I guess as parents, especially when you have multiple kids, sometimes you can learn from the one as you come to the second one, and therefore, because that was the same with my wife. Some people say, Marlon and Kim, you guys have two sets of children, and I'll explain. Our first and second is 6 years apart.
Oh wow!
And then our second to our third is 5 years apart, and then our third to our fourth is 18 months apart.
Oh wow!
So there's a gap between our second and third, which means we had a little grace time between the first, second, and the second and third, that 5 to 6 year gap, to be able to adjust and transition in some ways to say, okay, we need to probably do this differently. But when we had that third and fourth back to back, that kind of took us off guard because, man, we got two in diapers, we got one that's nursing, and now we got another one that's coming along. Now we got two nursing. Somebody got to go to the bottle, But during that time, it's like, you're having to adjust as parents. As a father, you're just like, okay, that responsibility has just increased, and so how are we going to navigate through those life experiences that you're having? Because really, our goal was to only have 3 kids, but I wanted a son. Now our son is not my biological son.
Okay.
But I met my wife when he was like 8 months old.
Okay.
So in theory, I'm the one who raised him, even though he has a biological father, and that's a whole nother story within itself. But I wanted a son, from me.
Yeah.
And so we had the 2 daughters, and I guess we did say we was gonna try, but it kind of happened faster than we thought. But so the Lord knows; He knows what's best for us, even though when we're not prepared already. But we thank God, and we've been able to go through that life. Now he'll be 24, so we've kind of went through that phase of life. But it's a blessing to have children, and we definitely want to ensure that we do our best as parents to be as parents.
Yeah,
because now I see and I'm shifting here just a little bit. Right now we caring for our parents. My mom moved here to Texas a few months ago. My wife's parents moved to Texas about a year and a half ago. So now we are giving back to them that they once gave to us. And I'm using those as teaching moments for my own kids. It's like, you never know when you are going to be in this position to take care of your mom and I.
Exactly.
So I want to be able to help you in that transition. So I find myself talking with them quite often of what that's looking like, just to put that on their mind, to say if and when that opportune comes, they have something to at least go off on. Versus, man, what are we gonna do now? It's just a transition of life. And so, like I said earlier, as parents, parenting never stops. Even when the children are adults, as long as they allow you to be in their life to that degree.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, Susie already told Micah that she's moving in with them. One of them too, like, okay. Donovan was more like, okay, yeah. You know, Micah's like, no.
Look, I tell people we got a 25% shot. We're gonna get at least one.
Yeah.
We have 4. We got a 25% shot. One of them are gonna say, okay, I'm gonna take mom and dad.
Yeah. We got 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah,
I follow you, man. I follow you.
But it's funny, just like when you're talking about your children, how they're far apart, and mine are two different people. Like everyone always sees this. Donovan, he's just like Susie. More conservative, more structured, I guess. And Mike is just like me. It's like we we go where the wind takes us sometimes, and sometimes the wrong way. We got forcing our way back.
Right.
But the same thing. Our kids, I don't know if you noticed, Micah, how big he is compared to me,
Right.
Those are things that Susie learned, and she would always pray over our kids, and and same thing, she prayed over Donovan. I want them both to be around 6 feet tall.
Wow.
Down to the hair, to the color, everything.
Wow.
And God did it. Same thing. You see my boys. They're big everywhere they go. Like, especially him being 16. And the same thing. She goes, I want them to be tall. I want Micah to have straight hair, and he has as straight as hair can be. And
man,
yeah.
Susan went down to the detail.
And she went down to the detail. You have to tell him what you want. You have to tell the Lord what you want, and
right,
and He will give it. According
That's awesome.
And I mean, the same thing, we prayed over our kids, and I believe, and I hear it from other people as well. So it's not just me confirming it, but I confirm it. We have good kids, and I'm pretty sure you have good. I know I've met 2 of them, but going based on your personality and and the way I see it, I have no doubt. You're lying to me. That you're not lying to me.
Right.
And I love that. I try to do it as much like I was saying with my son Donovan. We have Saturday mornings. That's our day. We kind of we sit there. I'll make breakfast or go get barbacoa or carnitas, and we'll have our coffee time. We'll sit down. And, okay, what happened throughout the week?
That's good, man. That's good.
What can I help you with? Or he'll just. It's funny, even when they were teenagers, once you give them that little room to talk, they'll just go on. That's what parents need to understand is your kids want to talk to you. They want to tell you what's going on, but you need to find that opportunity. It can be as little as, hey, let's go to Family Dollar and get some ice cream or chips or something.
Exactly.
And you sit in the parking lot for 5 minutes and say, hey, so how's everything going? How's school going? How's work going? How's you and your girlfriend doing? Or any issues with your car or and you'll be surprised what your kids will tell you once you're away from the other spouse, especially that, if you have boys. They might see difficult to speak to the mom, on certain things. Same thing with daughters. They might want to tell mom something that they're not going to tell dad. Of course, we tell each other. The husband and wife will tell each other what was said. But if you give them that opportunity, I guarantee you, fathers, I guarantee you, dads that are going to be or dads are already going to be, and you don't know how to talk to your kid, just ask simple questions. It doesn't need to be a whole, theater, saying, correct, sit down, we need to speak, we need to talk. Right, no, it could be real subtle. Hey, let's go for a walk.
True, yeah, exactly.
That is one of the best things you can do. It helps you clear up your mind. We've been doing that lately, Susie and I, just 20-minute walk with the dogs. And you'd be surprised how just doing that, it'll clear your mind because you're thinking of, things that have happened throughout the day, throughout the week that you're just holding on. But when you're out there in nature and you're just out there enjoying it, you forget about it, and you can do that with your son, your daughter,
you sure can. You sure can.
Just ask them a simple question. I guarantee you 110% that they're going to they won't stop talking. And you're like, man, should I have asked? You're like, why did I ask that?
Right.
But sit there and another point, when you do and they do tell you things, don't go and start condemning them. Don't what's the word I'm trying to say? Like punish them, what I'm saying? Or say they're wrong. Just let them talk. Let them talk. Yeah. In the future, gotta make a way, or gotta show them the way that they did wrong, or hey, if they did something good, applaud them for it. Give credit where credit's due. That's good. You'll be surprised.
That's good. I did this 3 days ago. Mm-hmm. Usually, we as a household, we normally eat dinner's usually prepared around the same time. It can range between 5 and 6 o'clock. And so that's usually when everybody is kind of either ending work or the day is kind of winding down in some sense. And this particular day, I do it randomly, but I just happen to say, hey guys, while we all in the kitchen eating, let's just kind of do a pulse check. Just kind of see how everyone is doing, and what are some things you're challenged with? What are some things you're going through? And how we can pray for one another.
Yeah.
And from our mom, that's not the norm because she wasn't living with us when I was raising my kids.
Okay.
Her and my dad was living in their own place. Mm-hmm. And then my son-in-law, his dad doesn't live with them. And so he's not accustomed to having that father figure in the home. Mm-hmm. And so my 2 youngest kids and my wife, obviously, they're very familiar with it. And so we all just went around and just sharing the kind of where we are, what are things that we're challenged with, what are some things we need prayer for. And I asked the question, I said, what do you want this household to be known for? What do you want to be known for? Wow. When someone sees you, what's the first thing would come to their mind?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Yeah. Or if someone drives past this home or knock on the door, what you want this household to be known for? Is this the party house that's making a bunch of noise and causing a ruckus? Or there are some godly people that lives there? Or there are some nice people that lives there? Mm-hmm. And so, just going around the room, and I says, we can do this at any time. Anybody can ask, hey, let's pray. Let's read the word. Let's study. Let's just talk about your day. And that's the norm for us. It's not scheduled, but it just happened at random. And so
naturally.
Yeah. And we had a moment just to everybody eating their food and going around sharing the things that they, need prayer for. Mm-hmm. And I said, we cover in prayer here, but when you're in your quiet time, and if the Lord brings that to your remembrance, just pray for them.
Yeah.
And as the week is going, ask one another, hey, how are things going with that we prayed for? Let one another know that, hey, I'm for you. I want to know, I'm concerned about where you are. And so that's what I really like. And we've been doing that with our kids since they were very young, till they were able to understand. And we can still do that as adults. It doesn't have to stop. And I encouraged my son-in-law. I said, at some point, you and Deja, my daughter, I said, you're going to move and live into your own space. What is your household going to be known for? What standard what are you going to establish in your home as the priest of your home? So that's why I believe it's just so important that as fathers, that we continually pour into our children, adult children, even from my mom. She's getting accustomed to how we flow in our home, and she's able to share her experience because she's a believer as well. She's able to give pointers from her perspective by being 20 plus years my senior, and that's their grandparent, their grandmother. And so it's just that dynamics of being able to set the environment, the atmosphere in your home as a father, and especially you have a spouse that's in God too. That just makes things so much easier for the household to be in one accord.
Yeah.
So, that's a combination of fatherhood, but also marriage. Your Bible says, how can two walk together lest there be an agreement? So when we talk about a household, a family, a father and a mother, a husband and a wife being in unity, and then you put God in the center of that, a three-strand cord is not easily broken. So therefore, that means that we are stronger, we're united in Christ and God because we all are seeking the same thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
Definitely. And you know how the word says, sorry, how iron sharpens iron, and that's what I love about you. I see you as a mentor to me. There was a point in time where I was, and I'm being honest here, so don't shoot me down. But there was a point in time. Of course, we all have past,
definitely
past life, and a lot of stuff my kids don't know. I don't share details of my history, but where I came from, it was very, very positive, poverty neighborhood. So with that comes a lot of stuff. In that neighborhood. But once we moved out, and I told my wife, I'm saying, you know what, I'm gonna work here. I'm gonna bust my butt till I move up the ranks, and I did. I was able to get us out. She was a stay-at-home mom for over 10 years. I don't regret it at all. Definitely. She helped raise the boys a lot by herself because I was doing a lot of hours.
Definitely.
With that comes a lot of responsibility, and especially once you become some sort of leader,
of course,
in that or management in any kind of business, you take on a certain kind of responsibility, and it was kind of like, hey, I didn't have birthdays off,
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, there was a time, especially when I quit the pawn shop, and I was like on fire for God, and of course, I don't know if I told you, my dad passed away from cancer. And that's one of the signs, not signs, the designs. There you go. I don't know why I'm having trouble coming. Right. The designs on my shirt is a cancer with the bullet signs, target around it. Well, I went through that stage where it was just like, why, Lord? He was a believer as well. My stepmom, she's the one that I believe glued us together and brought all of us to Christ. All my siblings, they're all, my brothers and my sisters, there's 9 of us, and they all go to church. They all love God, and they all, living good lives, and none of them are on drugs. None of us are going in and out of jail anymore.
That's good, man. Hey,
we all got families. We're trying to do it the right way, and there's a time where it just kind of like not snowballed down, but I did pull away from God a little bit, more than I wanted to. And now I feel like I'm, these past couple of years, I'm coming back to the Lord, and I'm still not perfect by any means,
No one.
But I'm trying,
Yep.
I'm trying. I'm getting the fire back, and I'm loving it, and I'm seeing the doors He's opening now that were shut before because I wasn't ready. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And He's not going to give you something that you can't handle, and I love that about Him. Because if He were, then we'll just destroy ourselves as
that's
humans.
For sure.
You know?
That's for sure. That's good that you said that, share that, Jay, and I definitely appreciate you sharing, looking to me as a mentor. And as you stated, previously, none of us have arrived yet.
Mm-hmm.
Every day is a choice for us to follow Christ. Because believe me, every day the enemy is knocking on that door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Marlo, do you want a little bit of me? No, I choose not. No, I don't want any of you.
Mm-hmm.
Look, granted, I've been walking with Christ as a young adult since I was 21. So now I'm 54. So it's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. Now I'm nowhere near how I was when I first started, but I can go back 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 10 years ago. It's like I'm steadily as I choose to draw nigh unto God.
Mm-hmm.
The word says he draws nigh unto us.
Yeah.
So it's by choice that I had to make, okay, Lord, do I want to be in your will? If I want to be in your will, then it means I must follow it. So that means I have to deny myself and say, okay, Lord, I choose you. So in choosing him, the word says that we must crucify the flesh. We must die to the natural man that the spirit man may live.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things we have to discipline ourselves to say, you know what? No, I'm not going there. You know what? I'm not going to hang around that person.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not doing that. Your flesh may be crying out. You need to go do that. Yeah. You need to go there, and you need to say this.
Mm-hmm.
But this is where we have to have that discipline, because the Apostle Paul says, every time I do good, evil is present.
Mm-hmm.
That says a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He says, every time I do good, evil is present.
Wow.
So when we think about doing anything good, anything of God, the enemy is right there, trying to persuade us, don't do that. Do this. That's why we have to crucify the flesh. That power is within us. Christ is not going to override our will. We have to choose that. And so in our life journey as a believer, as an individual, as a young man, as a husband, as a father, as a young lady, as a wife, we have to choose Christ. We have to want that. And it's not easy. And every day I still have to make that choice. Every day I have to make that choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying it's easy because I've been doing it for 30 years. No, I've come to realize that I don't want to do it no other way outside of God. I just choose that.
Yeah.
I just choose that. And so for us, that's just a part of it. That's just a part of it. And in marriage, now you're not just thinking about yourself. Now you have your partner.
Mm-hmm.
And so like every decision you make not only affects you, but it affects them.
Yeah.
And then it affects your children if you have any children. So that's something, man. The Bible says the two should become one flesh. So that means we're giving up rights. We're giving up ground. That doesn't mean we're compromising.
Mm-hmm.
That means that we're coming into an agreement. We're coming into a covenant, coming into an understanding that we have to do it God's way. And that's two working together. In most cases, a husband and a wife, usually there's some similarities, but sometimes we're coming from two opposite spectrums.
Yeah.
And it's like you got to bring two people with two different mindsets to come together, live under one roof, to raise a family. And sometimes that's not easy.
Mm-mm. Especially if they believe in two different religions.
Of course.
That's one thing that just, I come from a Catholic background. My wife really, she was actually atheist when we first met. Her mom jumped around from Catholic to Jehovah's Witness to yada yada yada, just trying to find her place.
Of course. Yeah.
Now she found Christianity. Now she's in the church and just doing her thing. Love it. My father-in-law, he's not here with us anymore. But we at his funeral, the pastor said like 2 weeks before he passed away that he gave himself to God.
Amen. Praise God for that. That's good. That's good. So yeah, thinking about marriage. Let's get on a note here. Let's see. Marriage. Let's see here. Ephesians 5:25 says this: Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. Sometimes that means apologizing even when we don't feel like it. Hey, look, I've been in that 1,000 times. Believe me. So here are some rapid fire questions for you, Jay. Okay, who usually apologizes first after argument? You or Susie?
Susie.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm getting better at it. At first, I guess it's a man thing. I don't know.
Could be.
I was right.
Yeah. And I would say for myself, it's usually me.
Oh yeah,
it's usually me that because for me, I don't know. I think in my own reasoning, it's like a task because I'm carrying this thing, and I know at some point we're gonna have this conversation.
Yeah.
So let me just go ahead and apologize, get this thing over with, so I can move on. That's my mindset. But I still do it sincerely. I do sincerely apologize. But I would say it for myself as me.
I mean, for the few times that I am wrong,
Oh, Susan, she didn't hear that.
No, I'll apologize.
Oh my goodness, man! All right, here's the next one: is who's the better cook?
Oh wow, I have to go with Susie as well.
Yeah.
I haven't had that much time as cooking, especially when I was a bachelor. My cooking was getting a. Not a sausage link, but a weenie on a fork, holding it over the fire, throwing it on a slice of bread.
Amen.
That was cooking for me back in the days,
I hear you, man. Now, I would say the same. My wife is the better cook.
Mm-hmm.
She always says, she's been saying this for years. She says, I don't like to cook. I cook because I have to. And that was more so when the kids were younger.
Yeah.
And so now that they're older, everyone can cook for themselves. So every once in a while, she gets that itch.
Mm-hmm.
She'll probably cook 2 meals back to back, and she probably cooking again for about another week or so. But I'll get in the mix a little bit here and there. But she is the better cook.
Yeah, but see, this is where I come back to as being a leader and a man and a husband. My wife goes into work into the office 2 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
So those days I cook Tuesdays and Wednesdays, sometimes even Mondays. So she cooks once, maybe twice a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mind that. One, it's helping me learn how to cook.
It does. Definitely, it does.
I can see it in their face when they take the bite. So I'm like, okay, I hit it. 2, it helps my son seeing that a man can do it himself, and he sees that, and he would, he'll recommend things also that he's seen online, or hey, why don't you try this instead? I'm like, okay, cool, and I'll try it, and if it comes out good, we'll keep it in rotation. If not, we won't do it again, But the same thing is like if you're at home, because I don't I don't have a 9-to-5 job, So I'm a lot of times at home, so I don't mind that. I mean, you in the Bible it says you have to help. You help your woman if you're out doing being the breadwinner, then your wife takes care of the household,
Mm-hmm.
But if both of you are working, then it's just fair. 1, it's fair to do it, and then 2, you should do it. Help her out. Don't expect she comes home from 8-hour shift, 12-hour shift. Some women, and then start cooking for you. And you're just at home. You could have done that. What I'm saying?
That's for sure.
And it doesn't degrade you as a man. To cook. Nowadays you see all kinds of men on TV cooking.
You do.
If anything, I think women think it's hot.
Exactly.
She come in, she's like, man, what you cooking today, baby? I'm like, let me show you.
Exactly. You know what? Give them some little bragging points when they with their coworkers. You see, yes, I'm going home to a cook meal because my husband.
Yeah.
And they looking the hell all funny. Well, my husband don't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I have to stop at the grocery store to bring her the food home to cook.
Yeah.
And that's the same for me. My life has shifted. So, I'm not out working, like that. I do everything from the house. So I'm home 99% of the time. And my wife works from home as well, and she goes into the office once a week. But I remember it was moments of time when I was working and my wife was cooking. So now I take on a lot of those household chores now.
Yeah.
I'm washing clothes, I'm folding clothes, I'm, washing dishes.
Yeah.
I'm cooking meals throughout the day. I'm going into her office, bringing her breakfast like this morning. Hey, I'm fixing pancakes. You want some?
Yeah.
Just fixing some eggs and bacon. Hey, go back to the kitchen, bring us some eggs and bacon. So it's like, for me, this is an evolving thing.
Yeah.
Rose change from time to time.
We're in a different season now.
Different season. Yeah. She's in school and she's working. So there are days she has an 8-hour day and then she's putting in 3 hours of study time. So it's like, why would I expect her to do some of those household chores when I'm there? So it's,
exactly.
I'm appreciative of her and she's appreciative of me. So, this male dominance, like, serve me, I'm the king, I'm the head, we have to shift that mentality. We have to work together in our household. And whether you have children or not, hey, sharing that responsibility too if you have children.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
like,
good,
like they say, teamwork makes the dream work,
It makes it work. I was listening to somebody had this little thing that came on Facebook, and this young lady says, it's not happy wife, happy life. She said, it's happy spouse, happy house. And she was saying, it's a shared responsibility.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be the wife being happy and then the husband not being happy as well. No, the goal is for the house to be happy.
Exactly.
So everybody can be happy. And so that's a good concept that you don't hear quite often.
Yeah.
But for me, it's a motivation and encouragement for our whole entire household to be content.
Yeah.
That no one is carrying any more than the other have to, unless you're in that season to do so. Yeah, man, that's good, man.
Yeah, that's real good.
So who control that thermostat in your house? If it's too hot or it's too cold, who controls that?
I tell you what. So when we first started dating, Susie was probably bigger than my pinky.
Okay.
I remember this a lot. Like, when we were dating, especially wintertime. Oh my gosh, she would literally, you can hear her teeth, doing that. But as the years went by, 22 plus years now, and she's got accustomed to, especially the boys. They're like polar bears, And
seriously,
yeah. We both control it. In a sense, I mean, we're kind of already accustomed to each other's. Now she's more like, okay, it's hot, It's
right.
Yeah. Wintertime, like, we don't even, maybe once, maybe twice a day. No, I mean, one day or 2 days out of the wintertime, we'll have our heaters on.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, and especially Micah, he'll have his window open, fan blowing.
Right. Yeah.
30 degrees outside, and
wow,
he sleeps perfectly fine.
Wow, that's good, man. That's good.
I mean, as far as controlling it, I mean, I have control of it, but because it's on my phone, I can easily access it. But other than that, I mean, there's no set like, we're going to set at this temperature.
True. It just fluctuates for our home. Living in Colorado for 26 years, we've kind of got used to the colder climate in some sense.
Yeah.
And in our home, we had a 3-story home, and our room was on the third floor or the third level, and heat rises. So our room was always hot or warm, especially in the wintertime. So we always had our window cracked and the fans on. And so it could be, like I said, it could be 15 degrees outside. Our window is still cracked and our ceiling fan is still on. And we do that to this day. We're just accustomed to that.
Yeah.
And being here in Texas now, where we really don't experience winter like it was in Colorado. So it's like, we just have to deal with the heat. But I would say overall, my wife does control the thermostat because she's at a season in her life where sometimes she get those summer moments and them covers come off. And hey, and she said, what that thermostat is, I go on my phone, I drop that temperature. We got to cool it off in here, man.
I hear that.
So yeah, man. But yeah, man, it just be those things as in our married life, how there are different dynamics to each household and to each marriage. And one thing that I enjoyed when we were in Colorado, we had some good friends that had a marriage ministry, and once a month we will go to their home or wherever it was hosted at, and we're sitting around. We had between 5, so sometimes like 15 couples.
Wow.
And we're from all ranges, from newlyweds to people married 20, 30, and 40 years, and with all race, in interracial marriage. And they did that for a number of years. And we was a part of that. And we learned so much just being in that environment. We didn't always have to be vocal. All we had to do is just listen to what others were saying. Sometimes there was one question that was raised, but came one answer, was brought into another question that dove into something totally different, and we just absorbing.
Yeah.
And I just learned so much. And that's why I encourage other married couples to get around other married couples, especially those that are Christ-centered, because we can learn so much. We don't have to navigate our union alone. And we don't have to isolate ourselves just around those that we're comfortable with. Yeah. Sometimes the Bible, it's like the prayer of Jabez. Lord, expand my territory. I don't want to just be confined to the things that I'm just so comfortable with. I want to be able to expand my territory into situations and circumstances that's going to challenge me. Sometimes we don't want to be challenged. We are comfortable where we are, but sometimes being challenged push us to our destiny.
Absolutely.
It pushes us into our purpose. And when I look at marriage, sometimes it pushes us to have those tough conversations. It pushes us to challenge our marriage to go to the next level. And that could be anything, whether it's surrounding around finances. Maybe one spouse is better at handling the finances than the other. So the one that does well dominates it, and the ones that doesn't do well, hands off.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to do with it. Or it could be one who's making the most money or making all the money is controlling everything. Telling one spouse, you can't do this, you can't go here. I'm the one, I'm bringing in all the bread. Yeah. No, I believe if that's your setup, that's your setup. But it still should be something done in unity.
Yeah.
A conversation. And sometimes we may have to have that hard conversation. We may have to say, let's put all the chips on the table. Let's talk about it. And that's something that I've learned over the course of my marriage is we had to have a lot of those come to Jesus moments. We used to just talk about it.
Yeah.
Because the first 5 years was probably the most challenging of our marriage.
Yeah, I think in every marriage, the first 5 years,
it was challenging.
You're going to find out who your spouse is, who she really is, or who he really is. Once you stay, there was a time, like I said, when I was in the pawn shop, I was away a lot. I didn't go out of town, but when I came home, I was tired. The food was ready. I'd have a snack to eat, take a shower, and sometimes I'd go straight to bed.
Right.
The next day, same thing coming up. And when I quit, it was like, okay, you're here every day. You had to learn, even though we've been married for X amount of years, 10 plus years. But once you're with someone 24/7, then it's like, okay, yeah, we had our arguments there. There was a rough patch in our marriage, but we overcame that, and we're
That's
like,
good.
no, we're gonna
That's
stick
good.
it out. You know,
For sure.
we're here. We're gonna stick it out, and I'm glad we did. You know, I'm very glad we did. You know, and and yeah, it's rough. You have to learn who you are, and then you got to learn who you are through that season now. You know, because you change as a person. And as far as talking as finances, you know, when I was at the pawn shop, I didn't have time to be going in there. I'm the one that was making the bread, but I didn't have time, you know, during the day, sit there on the computer, try to pay bills, you know, or, you know, like, no. So I left that to her, and she's, you know, she's an accountant now for billions of dollars, you know, so
exactly,
you know, I'm gonna let her take care of that, you know what I'm saying? Of course. And I have no issues with that. You know, one thing I do recommend as a marriage couple, that I see time and time again is a lot of marriage couples have separate bank accounts. We never had that. Susie and I, it was always our same account. She knew how much money I was taking, even though I'm the one that was making the money. But she was managing, paying the bills, make sure, you know, we had food, make sure we had gas money, make sure we had money to go out, you know. So she did the right thing, you know. But I see it time and time again where they have separate bank accounts, you know. And I don't get it why they would do that, especially if you're in a marriage already 5, 6, 7, 10 years.
Correct.
Yeah, that should have already been done. You know, you should have already had your joint account. You know, it's like, then to me, it's kind of like you're still holding something your past. You know, you're still holding, hey, this is mine. This is, you know, this is my money. It's like, no, this is our money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
correct.
So that's one thing I would recommend if you're doing that with your spouse, if you're doing it with your marriage, get a joint account, you know, and that'll really tell you who your spouse is to begin with. So, you know, yes, if she's making the money, or you're making money, it doesn't matter who's making more money or not. Because once y'all become one in all aspects, and that's with money as financials as well.
Definitely,
you know, and that why not be a power couple rather than just a couple? You know, power couple. Hey, she's gonna be, you know, you got an idea or whatnot. She's gonna be there 110% back you up, or maybe she has an idea. You know, you back her up. All right, baby, let's go. What do you need help with? What can I help you with to get to that next step in whatever, you know, idea you do have? You know, okay, how can we make this your dream a reality? Whatever it is, then you can see where maybe she has trouble, and hey, you know, every time I go out, I got to buy me a purse or something, or I got to buy this. Like, no, you don't. You know what I'm saying? No, you don't. You know what I'm saying? You know, that's where you start separating your needs from your wants. You know what I'm saying? If you have the funds to do it, God's blessed you like that, by all means, you know, do you. But if you don't, you have to separate. Do I really need that purse? Like, is mine beat up and it's hanging on by a thread, or do I just want it? You know,
that's for sure, man. You know, and you know, I look at my own life of having many conversations about finances over the years.
Yeah,
especially when your family begins to grow, comes more responsibility. And then when careers shift, sometimes your money shift too.
Oh yeah.
You know, I remember my wife, she went to school a couple of times throughout the course of our marriage where she had to do internships, and she couldn't maintain her job and do that too. So she had to let the job go, you know, with hopes of going back to it or moving into a new career. And so there was a gap where her income was no longer, but the goal was to finish school and to move in that field. But once again, we had to have a conversation well in advance of what that's going to look like. And sometimes we have to be willing to sacrifice. And like you were speaking of, being able to have those conversations.
Yeah.
You know, and especially, you know, yes, for my wife and I, we've always had joint accounts, you know, from day one, you know, from day one, and we made it work, you know. I've always worked in a sense. She's been a housewife at different intervals of her time, but she's worked a majority portion of our married life. So she was a contributor as well. I just was the one a little bit more savvy with the finances. So that was my strong point. So it's easier for me to track, keep her updated on where we are, what we're doing, what we're putting aside, what we can do, what we not able to do.
Yeah.
And so we had these conversations along the way. Did we have hiccups and challenges? Of course we had those. But that system worked for us. And I just encourage those who are listening, whether it's finances, whether it's raising children, whether it's career changes or going to school, have those conversations. For us, communications was one of the biggest challenges we had the first 5 years.
Yeah.
Of just not communicating well. Not to say that we weren't communicating, we just wasn't communicating in the correct way. It ended up leading to arguments and fights.
Yeah.
And guess what? Nothing is getting done. So we're not resolving the issue. We just procrastinating, prolonging the issue. And so once we learned that, hey, we got to talk about it, things got better over the years. So whatever that may be, spend that quality time and talk about that issue, because you don't want that to just fester. So that definitely be my encouragement for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. And I, I stand with that in relationship and in business,
Sure.
You have to have an open communication. I mean, the only way, if you have a partner in the business, even between you and I here doing these podcasts, starting them off, we have to have an open line of communication.
For sure.
However we're feeling, and you got to be adults about it. Whether it's you and your wife speaking, say, baby, this is the way I feel today, or this, you said something that didn't feel right with me. It didn't hit home, or it did hit home. You got to let her know, but don't come at it as attacking.
Correct.
Correct. Just say, look, this is what I felt. This is how I felt. Let's talk about it. Same thing in a partnership, in a business partnership. The only way it's going to work is communication. You got to talk about the hard stuff. You do.
Definitely.
Especially when it comes to money. In a relationship with your spouse, or in a relationship with a business partner. They always say, don't go to business with family and friends. And there's a reason for that. But I believe if you start off from the get go, from the jump, you say, hey, the hard thing we're going to talk about is money. And that's one thing that breaks up a lot of times. The business is because of that. So okay, so how are we going to split this up? 50-50. 40-40. The other 20%. We're going to put aside, or how we're going to do this. And both of them throw ideas, and then you got to come to a mutual agreement. And you can't. You got to be open minded in anything. Same thing with your wife or your husband. You got to be open-minded when they say, hey, I like this, I need this is the way we should pay bills or whatnot. Like I said, she handles all that, so there's no arguing.
Exactly.
She takes care of it. So
that's for sure, man.
Yeah, but an open communication, whether it's your partner or business partner, or even with your kids, you have to have that open communication. And you have to talk about the hard stuff, but in like I said, not in an attacking way. Like, you did this, you did that. Like, no, like, maybe this is the way I felt, or hey, when you said that the other day, what you mean about that? What you mean? And a lot of times it's not even what you think.
Of course. That's so true, man. That's so true. That's so true. Jay, we talked about a lot of stuff, man, just in this short window of time, man.
Yeah.
But I say it's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Absolutely.
It's very authentic. It's just thoughts and ideas are just rolling, and I believe it's good for the both of us to be able to hear some of the things for the very first time.
Yeah.
But also for the listeners who may be in a particular place where some of the things we're sharing is resonating with them.
Yeah.
It's giving them food for thought. It's giving them ideas of how they should approach certain things in fatherhood, or maybe even in their marriage. Or maybe it's a time for them to do some inner reflection. It says, okay, this is where I need to step up.
Yeah.
Whether it's a wife or a father or a mother or a husband, whoever it may be, wherever you are, I believe everyone needs to hear something about their parenting or marriage. And we can always glean one from another. And I believe what we're doing could be an encouragement for many that are out there. So let's talk about fatherhood for a moment.
Sure.
We talked a little bit about some of those some of those rapid fire moments as a spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But when we talk about a father or parenting, who is the stricter parent? Is it you or Susie?
Stricter. I would say, man, I would say Susie would be stricter,
Mm-hmm.
but when it comes down to it, and you need put your foot down,
You got it,
and you need results.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'd step in.
You step in, got
it. Yeah. How
Definitely.
about yourself?
I would say just having the military background that I have.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm more of the disciplinary one that provides guidance, instructions, directions. My wife typically allows me to do that. I guess she steps in when she feels she needs to,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe to support what I'm sharing.
Yeah.
Because she would say, she may mention, hey, have you talked to so and so? And I'll say, yes, I did. I know I didn't. Or if they bring something to her and she may say, well, did you talk to your dad? And they may say, no, they haven't. Or yes, they did. And she kind of know, well, what your dad say?
Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, I would say I'm probably more stricter in the sense, even though I do come from a military background, I try to do it from a perspective that is nurturing. Not where I try to crush my child's spirit.
Yeah.
To where they feel like, man, I ain't got no way out now. Mm-hmm. No, but I definitely, I am definitely the stricter one, I would say, as a parent.
Yeah, I can see that, especially with your background. And that's something that us as men have to learn, especially with disciplining your kids. That's mm-hmm. something I learned later on with Donovan. Of course, he's my first son.
Yes.
And I remember this vividly, where there was a shift in our relationship. So when he was a teenager, early teens, probably 13, maybe going on to 14, he wasn't a bad kid. He just spoke up in school sometimes or played out, or I don't know what. So we had mm-hmm. an issue. The teacher called us, said, hey, Donovan acted out today, whatnot, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So, of course, I go pick him up. When I pick him up, I look back, I say, when you get home, I need you to go to your room.
Mm-hmm.
And, I gave him a whooping.
Right.
It wasn't bad or anything like that. Like, it was just reasonable,
Of course.
Couple months went by. Obviously, he didn't learn. Mm-hmm. We told him, do not let us get another call from your teacher.
Of course, that's right.
We get another call.
Uh-oh.
So he knew. When I picked him up, I said, when I get to your room, right. When we get home, go to your room. And you could tell he already had tears in his eyes because he knew what was going to happen.
Of course.
But where the shift happened is, instead of whooping him mm-hmm. with the belt, mind you, mm-hmm. instead of out of anger from what the teacher or you felt like you were not ashamed, but embarrassed, mm-hmm. Having the teacher call you, I put him in there. I said, Donovan, I love you.
Right.
I'm doing this for your good.
Correct.
Trust me when they tell you it hurts me more than it hurts you.
Right.
You might not notice it now, but
of course, true.
But as a father, whooping your sons, it hurts the father more than it hurts.
Yeah, definitely.
Internally, it's going to lead something. So I did that, and I spoke to him, and I looked him straight in the eye. I said, I love you, but I'm doing this for a reason. You need to understand that when adults are telling you to do something, especially a teacher, you need to do it.
True.
So turn around, and get this whooping.
Right. Oh my God.
But since that day, I seen a shift in our relationship, and it almost like he respected that without saying it. Right. You can tell, like, Dad does love me, and he's doing this for my best.
That's so true.
And our relationship just shifted for the better. Ever since then, we never had a problem with them again.
That's
you
good,
know, the
man.
rest of high school, or middle school through high school, and that was the last time I had to put my hands on them. And yeah,
that's true, man. You know, the word tells us that God disciplined those He loves.
Mm-hmm.
So if He disciplines us because He loves us, we discipline our children because we love them.
Absolutely.
The word tells us, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." If I'm not mistaken, it's like, so. In other words, if we do not discipline our children, we're letting them know that it's okay to that behavior.
Yeah.
And guess what? It only grows more intense.
Yeah, we're doing a disservice to them
as they get older.
Mm-hmm.
And so now they carry this over years in their adulthood. Now they wilding out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we wonder why they like that. Maybe it's a possibility we didn't do our job when we were supposed to.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to be the bad parent.
The bad parent, yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, in some relationships, they got the good parent, bad parent. Okay, it could be the mom is easygoing and let the kids do, I wouldn't say anything they want to do, but for the most part, they know they can get away with mom.
Yeah.
But dad, he's the disciplinary one. Oh, you don't want me to tell your dad? No. I believe it should be a balance in that. It's not like good cop, bad cop. No, it's, look, we're going to steer you in the right direction because it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And as we always say, like I share too, look, it hurts me more than hurt you. It's not a cliche. As parents, we know what that is, because you don't want to have to spank your child.
Yeah.
Because you know it's going to hurt, is going to put them in a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing, you know, the other aspect of it, that we don't want to deal with them when we are emotionally upset.
Yeah.
Because now we to discipline out of our anger.
Mm-hmm.
And we can discipline them a little bit more than we should.
Mm-hmm.
And so that doesn't help the child either. So I like how you shared that you didn't initially, and when at one incident you didn't initially deal with it, you kind of waited in a sense. You had the conversation, because I can say that I've lashed out several times over the course of me raising 4 children out of my emotions.
Yeah.
Out of my frustrations.
Yeah, it's one thing to whoop your kid out of anger.
Yeah.
And there's one thing when you're totally calm, you're not even thinking about it, but you still have to do it.
Yeah.
That's when you come into her say, it's gonna hurt me more.
Right.
Because I'm not mad at you anymore.
Right.
You know, I'm not mad at you. That's already passed, but I still have to discipline you. You still you know. And yeah, I went to the room, I grabbed Susie, I cried like a baby. You know, I cried like a baby, because I wasn't mad at him anymore. You know, I was over it, but I was like, son, I'm doing this because I love you. I hope it's getting to you. I love you, and I need you to understand that. You know, and instead of whooping him while you're mad, because then they can feel it. Like, he's mad.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna get it. But when you don't have that anger in you, and it's already passed, for you to have to discipline your child that way, it's hard.
Oh yeah, it's hard. Man.
You know, it's a difficult moment. You're like, man, I don't. But you know, you're not gonna learn. You know, there's other way to teach, of course, but like you said, you know, you spare the rod, you spoil the kid. You know, and don't you don't go overboard either. Trust me, I didn't go overboard and just start just wailing on him. Like, no, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, I make sure I had the target with his buttocks, and let's go. You know,
got it. Definitely, man. That's for sure. Let's do this one. What's the funniest nickname your children has ever given you?
Nickname.
If they've ever given you a nickname.
No, I don't think they've ever called me any nicknames. No, it's no, I don't have.
You have a nickname?
No.
Now, I didn't have a nickname, but as my children got older, it went from daddy to pops for my sons.
Okay.
That's dad to my girls. Yeah. You know, so young daddy. Yeah. As they got older, I played more into their late teens, early 20s. It kind of shifted to pop. Okay. For my sons.
Yeah.
and dad for my girl. So if they gave me a nickname, it was probably within their own little circle. You know, it was probably a little running joke they had going on, but I wasn't aware of that nickname if they did have one for me.
Yeah. No, I'd call my dad Pops too. Yeah, my dad was Pops. But then Susie every now and then she'll mess with Micah. Call your dad Daddy. He's like, I'm not calling him Daddy.
That's right. I guess that dad is more that baby, that babyish phase.
Yeah,
but that was one for us. What about who's most likely to fall asleep during a family movie night?
Family movie night, Susie.
Yeah, yeah, that's Kim too. Yeah. Sometimes she will say, "Let's go to the movies." Look at the time. I say, "You're not gonna make it." I say, I'm not going to go spend $15 on ticket for you to fall asleep in the movie.
Exactly.
I say, we have to either do it early, because if we do it too late, you're going to fall asleep. Or, I'm talking about even in action movies.
Oh.
I say, all this noise, with all this action, before she knows she got popcorn in the popcorn bucket, sleep. I say, man.
I don't need one popcorn no more.
That's her thing, man. She loves popcorn, but at the same time, she will fall asleep. Oh, man. I'll make this one statement that I wrote down here, like for a father. Being a dad is less about perfection and more about presence. That realization changes everything.
Yeah, so true.
And like you mentioned, I can go back to those times when I was working in the optical field. And I'm talking about working 50 to 60 hours a week, and sometimes working 6 days, working some nights, working most weekends. And I wasn't always present, even though my kids knew where I was.
Yeah.
But, like my wife and I was sharing some of the sacrifices with our kids. I miss a lot of activities. Yeah. Like if the kids were in sports, my daughter cheerleading, my son in basketball, or football, or they got family functions. If I don't know, like at least a few weeks in advance, even though I wrote the schedules for my staff, I still had a business that I had to manage. So I just couldn't take off when I wanted to. So I said, if you want me to be a part of it, I need to know at least 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Other than that, you know where I am. You know where I am. So,
yeah.
And obviously that's work related, but I think it's more emphasizing when you can be present, you're not present. When you're not there to support your children in school activities, or you're not present when they're going through tough times, or when they transition in life, or where they, especially daughters, young ladies, it's like we have to be, as fathers, we have to be present in our daughters' lives. Because if we don't give them an example of what to look for, they'll find anything.
Oh yeah.
They'll find the first young man to tell them, "Oh, you're pretty."
Yeah.
Or you're the best looking thing around. You're the finest one in school.
They're gonna fall for it.
Or they say, "I'll buy you this, I'll buy you that." Before you know it, they're hooking up with this knucklehead, bringing them down this path that you don't want your daughter to go down. And so I tried my best to allow my daughters to see how I treated their mother. Just being there for her, having conversations, treating her in a certain way. I wanted them to say, I want a husband like my dad.
Yeah.
Or I want a wife like my mom. Being able to see some attributes, certain behaviors that my mom and dad possess, I want to see that in my spouse. In that sense, not a duplicate copy, but you know what? I seen good things, good qualities coming from my parents, and that's who I want in my life.
Yeah.
And so that was part of my wife and I goal. Let's give them something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And that's why I said early on, when they were in the mother's womb, we praying for their spouses. And I can say this, I will say this at least for my first two children that are married. My oldest one been married 10 years. My other child's been married 6 years. They both celebrated their anniversary in September, 10 years and 6 years. And I can say that the spouses that my two oldest children have has been a blessing to see unfold over those years. And for my daughter that's been awesome. Newly married, we definitely see some great qualities in the young man.
Yeah.
And, obviously it's yet to be seen, because we know that things, you really assess things over time, but it's yet to be seen. And for our youngest son, at some point, when at his time, our prayer is that he will find, the Bible says he will find a wife finds a good thing.
Yeah.
So at some point we'll see that. But man, I tell you, it's so important for us as parents to labor for our children's spouses, especially when they're even in the dating. It's like, those are precious moments when our children are courting. And like, for us, we try to emphasize with our children, we don't want you to just be kicking it with someone. When we look at it from a biblical perspective, you're courting. And the ultimate goal out of that courtship comes marriage. You're not on this trial run. So when you like someone, you have to be praying and asking God, Lord, is this the one?
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be spending 2 and 3 years with someone. I moved on. I got another look. I have someone else. You don't want to be just connecting with people for the sake of connecting with someone.
For feel good.
For feel good.
For feel good. That's what they say love is, so it's literally just an emotion. Yeah. And over time it does wear out.
Yeah.
That's when you got to work for your marriage. I'll say you got to fight for your marriage, because
sure.
Yeah, you get those feelings, the butterfly feelings, and oh man, she's so beautiful.
Right.
Over time, especially after kids, you're like, okay, she's still beautiful.
Right.
She might not feel like it, but
correct.
In your eyes, she's gorgeous, and that's where some conflicts might come in, because she's feeling a certain way about herself or whatnot, but if you're dating, don't waste each other's time.
That's true.
Time is precious. Time is more precious than money, gold, anything on this earth.
It is.
And yeah, she might make you feel good, or he might make you have, butterflies every time you see him or whatnot. But if you're not thinking about marriage, then it should just be like a friendship until you do pull that trigger, so to speak, saying, okay, I really like this person. I don't see myself without them.
Right. Right.
I think about him a lot. Does he or she have the same values as I do? What does their background look like? Can I deal with the in-laws? Can I not deal with the in-laws?
All of the above.
All of the above.
All of the above and then some.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, man. I believe this is where we as parents, or, as parents, this is where we, as they begin to, start to date and start to involve others into their lives and spaces, this is where we have to really have these heart-to-heart conversations, especially if our children is of the faith. It's like, there are standards that we have to have, even when you're dating, when you're courting. It's like, okay, you're a believer, son. Ain't no sleeping around, man. Just want to let you know. Now, I don't know who you connected with, and I don't know what their background is, but if you want to be right in God's eyes, you got to set boundaries.
Yeah.
And sometimes it can be hard for young men.
Oh, yeah.
To have those boundaries and to be godly and to respect that young lady. I said, you treat that young lady like your sister. How would you treat her if that was your sister? How you want somebody else to treat your sister? How you want me to treat your mom?
Yeah.
I said, you got to put those things into perspective. And that's having hard conversations. And we've had that with both of our two oldest children while they were in that courting. We have to say, okay, what are you guys doing? You've been doing this for what, 4 or 5 years? what's going on.
What's going on?
Yeah. You're gonna have to decide. You have to make a decision.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying giving the other person an ultimatum, but you have to be, number one, right in God's eyes for one. But then you have to say, what is your worth? What is your value? And I'm speaking this to my daughter, and we're speaking this to our son. Hey, look, don't be playing house. You're gonna have to look. You're gonna have to make some grown-up decisions. And I believe having these hard conversations, but in love, can really say, okay, who are you gonna put your trust in? You have to lean on God. And so, but I love those moments when my older children are open to listen. At the end of the day, it is still their decision. But I'm going to always steer you in the right direction. It's going to be, it's God's way or it's no way. You have to choose. And so this is where our children as young adults, and when they come of that age, they have to be accountable unto the Lord. And we say, okay, Lord, I've done my job as a parent. Now I have to trust that they're going to serve you in the way you want them to serve you. So yeah, man, I love having those conversations with young adults, especially men and those young couples who are thinking about marriage, is being able to pour into them, share some of the highs and lows of relationships and marriage and children. That, marriage is great in itself, but it comes with things that you have to be willing to tend for. As you said earlier, fight for your marriage. Believe me, while you're doing your own thing, and especially if you're not doing it in God's eyes the right way, the devil is applauding you.
Yeah.
The moment you say you want to get it right in God's eyes, here he comes. The Bible says, whatever the Lord puts together, let no man separate. Guess what? The enemy is coming to divide that union. And he's coming from all angles. If you give him room, he's coming to wreak havoc. So yeah, man.
So true.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.